It's Alex Belfield on your favourite local radio station, and we're here with two massive stars. Firstly, Robert Plant, how are you?
I'm fine, if you like that sort of thing.
Is it plant or plant?
Well, my mum used to say plant, but she's from the Black Country, so it should be plant, really, I think.
All right, and we've also got Alison Krauss. How are you?
I'm doing good.
It's lovely to see you both, and you've come up with something remarkable. Who'd have thought that you've made a brilliant, innovative, new, original kind of album with somebody that you just wouldn't expect, Robert? Congratulations.
Pardon? Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, when you're around people with so much kind of charisma and joy, it wasn't even a gamble. It was a plan that we had because we met a long time back, Alison and I. We did a little bit of work together, and we knew we had some potential there. And I went over to Nashville, and I was sort of engulfed in a real good atmosphere, encouraging, and it just allowed me to take on a role that I may never have gotten anywhere near otherwise. You know, it's very, very endearing and hospitable, and also I learned a lot of stuff from Alison. She was a great teacher, and she helped me into this world.
Alison, everybody tells me you're a genius. That's lovely, isn't it?
It's very nice, but very untrue. I don't know where you heard that. It's been an incredible experience, mind expanding. I feel like, you know, I look at music differently now than I did. You know, I've kind of had one way of approaching it, you know, kind of meticulously and, with a lot of intent. And this was kind of about something else. This was, you know, what are you going to do in this moment musically, which was, you know, very different than what I'm used to. And I think it's a great thing to learn. And I don't know how I made it this long without that learning experience. And I think, you know, that I really wasn't... I have a better musical mind now, thanks to this.
You're both well established in your own rights. You're both critically acclaimed for what you do, but you're not necessarily acclaimed together. The press universally have been remarkably supportive of this album. Do you worry about that at this point, Robert? Does it matter?
What mattered was day 4 in the studio, because we said we'd give it 4 days to see whether or not we actually did have something that was genuine and had intent. And that 4th day was every review that I could ever have in my whole life, because we got it. And, you know, I've been cajoled and I've been venerated and cast aside a million times. So in some respects, it doesn't mean a thing. On the other hand, we've had such a ball doing this with such great people around us and incredible musicians, that it is to get a reflection like that, where people actually do get it, despite all the cliches, despite all the comparisons, and bringing history into it. I think it is. It is. I'm pretty proud of it. I know my family are.
I don't know whether you're going to take this as a compliment or an insult, but listening to the CD, I hear several different voices. Was that intentional with this album, that you were trying to bring out something different in yourself?
No, because you think the song dictates, at least to a large degree, you know, you have to tell a story. And if the story is a story which is tender, you don't have to go too far back into Led Zeppelin or my solo career to find that you know, a tender theme needs to be dealt with properly, and that's what you do. And likewise with Alison, you know, with things like, you know, let your loss be your lesson. She got sassy and kicked up and went, and that's what you do. You're a singer. You know, you tell the story, and that's what it's all about.
Tell me about bluegrass. This is a concept over here that some may not have heard of. Describe your music for those who haven't heard you.
Gee, I grew up in Champaign, Illinois, and it was a college town where there was lots of different types of music around. And I got very much into traditional fiddle music when I was about 7. And within that town there were a lot of country musicians and farmland, and people had a real appreciation for country. And I met a guy who was very much into bluegrass, who was also studying to be a musicologist, who then gave me a lot of recordings on acoustic music, acoustic music. He was also a huge fan of the Beatles and a great songwriter. And so I grew up listening to traditional music, but ended up singing his material, which was not traditional. So we had something new going on in our band. So I've always grown up looking for music that is new and would give me a new feeling or new experience. I love the way bluegrass is put together, where it's people singing together, much a band situation, and not about one person being showcased. It's about the sound of the whole ensemble. I hope I'm answering your question. I almost don't remember what it was. I talked so much. Let me at it. Let me at the microphone. I can't stop. Stop me.
I like it when she does the things about gardening and natural. We had a tough time promoting this. I mean, you can tell it's been very, very serious, and we are very studied and incredibly.
Are you having fun with your career now? Because when you start out, I presume you've got a lot to prove, and you need to be successful, and then you've got a lot of people who are around you wanting to make money out of you. At this point in both of your careers, are you able to go, actually, I want to do this for me regardless of success or other people? Was that the point of this project?
Hey, since 1967, I've done everything I've ever been involved in has been about myself or the people I've been working with doing it for themselves. The fact that it caught on and became wildfire is just absolute good luck and some pretty good music, but there's nothing. You don't follow any route or path. You just go. The gift is there,
So there's a lot of luck involved to be found and to be listened to.
It ain't about. I suppose it's just not luck so much as happenstance. I mean, so many things that I've done, especially recently. With Strange Sensation and being in the Sahara with the Tuareg, that sort of thing is mind expanding without the drugs. It's like incredible, and then to take the chance that Alison said, yeah, okay, let's try it with T-Bone, and let's try it. And to find that it sounds like this, for all the humour that we may be employing in this conversation, it's only because we're, completely crazed from talking about it. But if you listen to it, the intention is so mutual, and on it, it's really quite, it's panoramic sound,
One of the things I always found fascinating with a new album is your judgment in knowing that a song is good. How do you know that it works? Because presumably it's just your opinion against someone else. Do you have an instinct to go, that's a great line, that's a great melody, that's a great harmony? How do you put your songs together?
If you relate to it, if it speaks to you, if it's inspiring and you're telling the truth, that's what makes it good.
So what's the process? Is it words first or music first?
I don't write. I can edit a tune. If it doesn't, if it's close enough to something that I love, I can edit it and make it into something that I do love. But as far as writing, I really don't. So I'm interpreting somebody else's story, and it's the same thing if I'm telling the truth.
I don't want to get too airy-fairy with you both, but if you haven't got a connection between you, is it impossible to make a great record? Can you fake that kind of unity that you have with the two voices?
Boy, that is a good question.
That's one of the best questions I've heard, actually. I don't know the answer because I'm really so into working with Alison that I don't know what it would be like to fake it. I think we've been so open with each other as people, and the sense of humour and the sort of diligence that it's real. So I haven't ever actually worked with another vocalist anyway. I don't know. Alison has. She's worked with...
there's got to be some incredible pairings of where personalities didn't click. There has to be, and maybe that adds to, a passionate sound or something.
The Everly Brothers would never really... They used to...
But they were brothers. You can't count that.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
No, but really,
Yeah. But they didn't speak for ages. But they sang.
Yeah.
They hated each other so much.
But that's very interesting. Can you fake it? I guess people do, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it works out fine.
I can't stand you, I'm leaving.
But first, let's cash this check.
Okay.
No, but
Yeah, they do that. I know people who do that. I'm old enough to have looked down on people who are now legends in their own lunch break, and they don't like it.
I want to ask you about your fans, the Zepp fans. How are they going to regard this album? Do you think this is something that is going to change you forever, or are you happy to still do both?
Well, that's as bad a question as the other one was good, really, in as much as...
Thanks.
Sugarcoat it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I love everybody, and it doesn't matter. You just sing songs and you keep going, and people who like Led Zeppelin in 100% will like at least 75% of this if they're open enough for it, and if they're not, they're not. It doesn't matter. It's just for us and for the musicians in T-Bone and the people who support the whole thing. this is not about world domination. This is just about great kick-ass music, you know.
But are you surprised then by the response you've had from the media that they're so surprised that you've brought this out? Because it is so different and unique and good. Often when people go to something else, it's never as good as you remember. So to get number 2 in America and number 2 here this week, I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah, but why aren't we number 1? That's what I want to know.
Oh, no. But do you really feel like... Do you really feel...
I saw Don Henley last night. He's not happy being number 1.
No, but I was going to say, do you really find that he's gone to something else? I mean, this is a path that Robert is always doing. He's always changing what he's doing. He's always finding something new and interesting, and always on a path to find something inspiring. Like, I don't look at this and go, oh, this is something completely different, like, oh, how out of character. No, this is in character, to be always changing and evolving into something.
But that's a great compliment that you can do that. Most artists don't actually do that. They stick to what they do because that's what they do best. So I think it's a compliment. It wasn't meant as an attack.
No, I don't see it as an attack. Please don't.
You were attacking.
No. I mean, the trouble is, it's just that when you decide that you're a singer and you're a songwriter and you want to spend a lot of your life away from your family doing whatever you do, you know, being naughty, being creative, being good.
Being naughty?
Well, yeah. You've got to decide that you've got to do it for the right reasons and not just out of repetition. I'm not a one-trick pony. I like to experiment and I like to be challenged, and Lord knows, working with Alison has been a challenge, you know.